We started this study during the H1N1 outbreak. So instead of getting 50 families for the first group, we managed to scrape 10 families together because we were relying on the public health programs to recruit our families. Then after the H1N1 fiasco, we had the Olympics. So right now we've got 70 families in the trial and we need 240. So we're going to be doing this intervention well into the summer, and that was not part of our original plan. Our original plan was to have completed the intervention by June, because obviously there's issues around programs shutting down and trying to keep recruiting families for the study. I have to say that after all those fiascos, our recruitment has picked up, and we're now getting around 1 to 2 families a day calling up, or 2 to 3 families. The problem is they don't all qualify. We had a 6 to 12 month range for the pilot study, and that actually worked very well. CIHR, who funded the study that we're doing now, insisted that we limit the age range to 6 to 8 months. And so we have a huge number of families that have called where their infants are too old to be enrolled in the study, and it's really unfortunate because they would benefit from the intervention, but we can't enroll 9 to 12-month-olds. So we enroll premature infants in the study. What we do is we correct for their gestational age. My graduate student just finished doing a study, interesting, you should raise that, on premature infants and sleep. And what she did was she used the internet to recruit over 100 families with infants at 5.5 to 6 months corrected age. And she ended up recruiting them from Australia, New Zealand, England, the US, and Canada. And what she showed was that their sleep patterns and the negative sleep associations are very similar to what we see in full-term infants. And so there isn't any reason to suspect that preterm infants would be any different. And her infants ranged in gestational age from 28 weeks at birth to 36 plus something. And she did exclude kids with really severe intraventricular hemorrhages and like chronic lung disease and things like that. So it goes back to what I was talking about before, which is the sleep promoting strategies. So you really need to get those parents to look at what's going on over a 24-hour period. When do they nap? When do they eat? Where are the naps associated with the feeding? If they are, they need to disassociate the naps and the feeding and the settling at night. So I recommend that parents never feed their kids closer than 20 minutes before they put them to sleep, unless they're breastfeeding in the middle of the night. And I recommend that because even if you don't feed them to sleep, these children end up making an association between having an absolutely full tummy and having just fed and going to sleep. And when they come up into these light sleep states at night, they cannot recreate the sleep conditions that they had when they went to sleep. So anything that you do in order to solve this problem is about making sure that you create sleep conditions for the children that they can recreate themselves when they wake up at night. So sometimes what I'll recommend that moms do is wear a t-shirt for a week and not wash it, and tie it in knots so the child can't get wrapped up in it, and put that in the bed with the child when they're settling them to sleep at night. Because what that is it's familiar, it has the mom's scent, the baby can use that as a kind of a lovey, for want of a better word, and it's relatively safe for them to have in bed with them, and that can help with that transition to self-soothing. I also recommend that they try and encourage self-soothing behaviors during the daytime. So when the child gets anxious or upset during the day, if there's a lovey that they're associating with sleep, offer that lovey to the child to calm them down. Or if they like to suck their fingers to calm down, I know there's dentists out there who will let them suck their fingers or encourage them to suck their fingers. Encourage them to use self-soothing strategies during the day that you would like them to use at night when they're sleeping. Keep charts and look at the patterns that are going on. Figure out how much sleep are they getting during the day, how much sleep are they getting at night. How can I extend the daytime naps so they're getting more than 20 minutes of sleep? It depends on how desperate the parents are and how much they need, there to be a resolution. If they're desperate and they've just had it and they're telling me, you know, this or the highway, then I'll say, okay, you know, we can solve this in relatively short order and these are the things you need to do. But if they're not so desperate and they're not sure they can follow through on some of the tougher things that they have to do, then it's better to adopt a more gradual approach. So what I will say to some parents is, if you don't have a nap pattern established and your child does fall asleep in the stroller when you're out walking, start by establishing a 1 or 1.5 hour nap. They have to be committed to this, where you walk around with the stroller with your kid for an hour or an hour and a half. And then once you've got that nap established on a regular basis at the same time each day, you can transition the baby into the crib and see if you can establish that nap in the crib. Because at least then you've established the timing and the length of the nap, and then it's just a matter of changing where that nap occurs. So it's this notion of patterning kids so that they get used to a pattern and they know what to expect. It's what I was talking about before. There has to be no parental presence associated with going to sleep. So you've got to figure out a way to help your child go to sleep and self-soothe, because that's the technique that they have to learn. That's part of their developmental stage, so that they can build on that as they head into toddlerhood and beyond. So you have to offer them opportunities. So you basically, when you're putting them down for their nap, it has to be the same as nighttime sleep. You don't rock them to sleep. You don't feed them to sleep. You don't carry them around to go to sleep. You put them in their sleeping place, wherever that might be, and you withdraw. Now, there are different ways of withdrawing. There's what they call camping out. And parents who don't want to withdraw totally and go in and offer controlled comforting, because that's one technique where you leave the room for a little period of time and then you go back and pat the baby or stroke the baby in the place where they're sleeping. You don't pick them up. To try and calm them down, and then you leave for a little while and then you keep going back in to see how they're doing. So you're not abandoning them, you're not leaving them to cry it out, but you're not staying with them the entire time. And the idea is that at one of these points where you're out of the room, hopefully they're going to go to sleep on their own. And as you continue that pattern, it's going to take a shorter and shorter time to do that. Some parents can't even handle that, and so you have to do camping out, which is sitting next to the bed, no eye contact, no conversation, no interaction. And you can pat, but no engaging. But so when I look at you, what am I doing? What signal am I giving you when I look at you?
Well, you're paying attention.
Yeah. So the idea is you don't signal your baby that you're there and paying attention to them, that it's playtime or interaction time or any time except sleep time. Because if I'm making eye contact with you and I'm smiling at you and saying, oh, it's okay, it's time to go to sleep now, they're kind of going, oh, good, it's party time. So that's part of what you do. And camping out, you gradually move further and further away until you're out the door. Yeah. We're not too far on the education thing, which is why I'm trying to raise people's level of awareness of this as a public health issue. And I think that until we start to go out there and explain to people that there are costs associated with this. And those costs, you know, it's really interesting because we totally sold parents on this idea of continuous stimulation in the first 3 years of life. And you still see the odd thing on television about that, I'd have to say, with this message that if you don't stimulate the brain in the first 3 years, it's game over and they're going to be failures for the rest of their existence. So we sold that really well. So if we can sell that, there's no reason why we can't get out there and sell the importance of sleep for children and babies. But we have to believe in that first. We have to be able to recognize that the way that parents parent has to shift over the first year of life. It cannot stay the way it was when they walked out the door of the hospital. And in my experience, most parents have absolutely no knowledge of growth and development beyond the first few weeks of life. They have no idea what to expect from a 6-month-old, or what normal is, or how much they should be sleeping, or what the patterns look like, or any of that.